sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, what's up, everyone? This is Lo-Fi Noah, and I just wanted to touch on something that I found really interesting that I'm looking forward to. Wait, where's my camera? Looking forward to. So, I don't know if you guys have been seeing, but Stellar Blade. It is, I would say, a Nier slash Dark Souls slash story-based slash amazing game that has a female protagonist. Now, if you have dived into my channel a little bit or seen me talk about certain things, like I love Nier Automata, and the person who made Nier Automata is his name. What is it called? Yoko Taro. Yoko Taro. This man, I love this dude. Pause. He is the definition of what I think of a good story at the end of the day, of how you can make a story have so much gravity to it that brings you so much happy and joy, and you're locked in. And then the twist, how he adds to it, it's just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. I would highly recommend, if you have not played Nier Automata, you need to play it. If you have not played Nier Replicant, you need to try it out. If you haven't played what's the other game? Hold on. And Nier Reincarnation. There you go. So the gacha version. So those three games is, to me, the best story games I have ever come across. No matter what, there's no argument for me, or there's no argument for any game that can outdo the story, in my opinion, for those games. Because that is what I grew up with. That's what I fell in love with. And there's no way, like any other story game, they're here. Nier Automata games or Yoko Taro games, they're here. Like you just can't. Like you just can't. So what we're gonna be talking about today, we're gonna be talking about pretty much a little bit of IGN, a little bit description, because so he gave inspiration to Hyung-Tae Kim. And this man pretty much, I think he is a person that works on Shift Up, which is which he works on one of the Nier games. Not Nier game, my fault. Nikke. So I played this gacha game called Nikke Goddess of Victory. And so because he works on that game and he works for Shift Up, I was really happy with how Shift Up was talking about making a video game, like an actual game, not a gacha game. And turns out he made something that's kind of like Nier. And then when Yoko Taro came in and said, you know what, I vibe with this, bro. Like, as a person who just loves Yoko Taro as a creator for his game, bro, like this right here is it just hits my soul. It just hits my soul. So pretty much the game itself is set in a post-apocalyptic I can't even say the word. A apocalyptic world with an anime sequence sword-wielding female protagonist. Stellar Blade inspiration sources didn't go unnoticed when his first trailer was released as Project Eve back in 2021. And I was there when they had Project Eve first. Then they changed it to Stellar Blade. Now, almost 2 years later, PS5 exclusives is almost ready for release on April 26th. We have a week. We have a week before it even launch. And your boy, I've been like going back and forth. I've been trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hold that point, let that point simmer. I'm gonna hold that down. But I may not play it, but hold on. I do got a PS5. I got the controller. I still got the PS5. So hey, I may, but I may not. I just waiting to the end of the video to really get my thoughts on it. I stated in that preview while setting and aesthetics indeed show similarities with Nier Automata. We thought the Stellar Blade challenge combat is drawn from Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. So I never played any. I didn't play Sekiro, but I played Dark Souls. I played Dark Souls 1. I played Dark Souls 2. I played Dark Souls 3. I played Bloodborne. So that was exclusive to PlayStation. So I got a little bit built. I got a little Dark Souls under my belt. You know what I mean? So feels like a high quality product that acquires I'm like so hyped up, uniqueness through its many inspirations. Okay, so look, I may have a hard time like talking through this, but I'm like really giddy about this because I'm hyped. I am so hyped for this. So the Japan sat down at Stellar Blade's development studio Shift Up in Seoul, South Korea, with Kim and Nier Automata director Yoko Taro, who flew over from Japanese to discuss the game. Kim and Yoko talked about their similarities as developers. Mutual respect could be felt throughout the conversation. They discussed a wide array of matters ranging from current states of Asian video games to why they wanted to make video games in the first place. While their comments were often frank, they spoke with easy, journalistic, and self-deprecating humor that built a deep mutual respect. And so I would say, as a person is watching this video and you don't really know what Nier Automata is, or you don't know who Yoko Taro is, he is a person who doesn't really I haven't really seen his face. He always wears this mask. So this is Yoko Taro. Mr. Kim in previous interviews told us that Nier Automata helped you to rediscover the kind of games that you want to create. This became the trigger for today's discussion with Mr. Yoko. First of all, what elements of Nier Automata inspires you the most? Okay, so Mr. Kim, director, he has said, I've been inspired by Nier Automata in so many ways that it's hard to point out one specific thing. The game has so many fascinating elements. The image of strong female warriors in a in a devastated world left by uninhabited struck me. I was also impressed by the quality of the story. I enjoyed playing the game so much, and of course I saw all the endings. However, since Mr. Yoko's talent as a storyteller is exceptional, I can't do anything similar. Besides the bigger plot and structure, Stellar Blade story is different from Nier Automata. When I first saw Nier Automata, it really inspired me in many ways, including the gameplay. Mr. Yoko, since you were kind enough to come over today, I do understand currently that you improve of the game and highly inspired by your work. I love it. I love this. I love this. Because at the end of the day, this is what I like to see. I love when a game creator or a game developer sees other work and then finds love and enjoyment from it and be like, you know what? I vibe with this. I mess with this. Because at the end of the day, that means that they can work together. That means you can get two good creators, make something and make something beautiful. This I'm hyped about. I have been inspired by Nier Automata in so many ways that it's hard to pinpoint one specific thing. Yoko Taro, Stellar Blade is really amazing game. It says that it's much better than Nier Automata. That's what he is saying. And he made the game. He's the director of Nier Automata. He made it. He's saying it's better. I've been acquainted with Mr. Kim work since Tears of Blood. Your illustrations are of a very high quality. Magna Carta. I'm just gonna say Tears of Blood for me. Tears of Blood came out before Drakengard, the first game I directed. So while I'm the older one, to me, in this industry, you are my senior. Kim? Really? You should have behaved a bit more superior then. Yoko, in Japan, you're well known by gamers as a legendary developer. True. When Blaze of Soul came out, I remember being amazed by its 3D graphics. I think you directed the game art, not just the illustration, but also the 3D models were very well done. I was inspired by the quality of Korean games when I saw it. Kim, I always simply create what I want to create, but without talent staff, I wouldn't have been able to make the game like that. Do I sound modest enough? So, in this back and forth, even though, if I'm making sure I understand this, so Yoko is older, but the thing is, Kim, since he came out and made Tears of Blood first, he's kind of seen as the senior in this. But their banter is really nice. I just enjoyed the little banter that they have. Even though I didn't get to see the whole video overall, I can tell they do respect each other, one another. Now, I would say, me personally, I haven't watched any videos on Stellar Blade other than that it's coming out. I have not watched any people play through. haven't watched anyone play through the game. I haven't even played the demo because I want my first expressions and first take of everything. I may even watch like the trailer here and there, but like other than that, I just want to simply enjoy the full ride because I know once I sit down and play this game, it's gonna be a while before I hop off. It's gonna be a hot minute because I love Nier games. Nier games has always been like the bread and butter of the best game in my 100% opinion. Growing up at like the age, I think I played the game at like 13 or 14. So like ever since then, like that to me is like my Final Fantasy. To me, that's like my Final Fantasy 14. To me, that's like my what's another big one? Kingdom Hearts. Like that to me is my game. So we do get a video right here. This is Stellar Blade preview. Sekiro meets Nier Automata. Hold on.
If stylishly wielding a sword as an anime-style female warrior traversing a post-apocalyptic world left behind by its inhabitants sounds anything like Nier Automata, well, that's because Stellar Blade director Kim Hyung-Tae was directly inspired by Square Enix's 2017 hit. I'm probably not the only one who imagined Stellar Blade would play similarly to Nier Automata as well.
This is gonna be hard.
Game that allows
every gaming YouTuber, every like non-gaming YouTuber that picks random games, they pick it up. This game is gonna go hard. I already it's gonna be another game that people ride the wave with, play it out, and then enjoy it. And guess what? I almost said it. I might try it. Don't know yet. Just okay. But I know this is gonna be hype.
to beat the crap out of your enemies without too much stress. However, from the moment I got the hold of the controller, I realized that I was gonna have a much more nerve-wracking experience than I expected, but in the best possible way. Stellar Blade puts a much bigger emphasis on defensive skills than I would have thought. Reading the timing of enemy attacks for well-timed parries and dodges is almost as important as it was in Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Okay.
Parrying multiple attacks to disrupt your enemy's balance allows you to perform a special attack called Retribution.
Okay.
Besides your regular dodge mechanic, Stellar Blade introduces Blink and Repulse. Both are dodging skills that counter the enemy's attack, but they can only be used
I like the health bar.
Blink is utilized
the little health bars up top, like
and moving the analog stick forward simultaneously, while Repulse requires you to press circle and move backwards. At first it can be challenging to instantly know and react to an enemy attack that can be countered by Blink or Repulse, but once you get the hang of it, parrying and dodging a series of attacks only to deliver a devastating counterattack at the end feels incredible. It makes you realize just how much Stellar Blade rewards the time you take to learn attack patterns. In games that put a high emphasis on parrying and dodging, I often find myself playing a bit too defensively. Thanks to a great set of offensive tools, I didn't have the same problem with Stellar Blade. Beta skills, which can be utilized once your gauge is full, can cancel an enemy's attack if the timing is right. There's also an attack that allows you to quickly get close to the enemy after dodging from a distance. Delivering a series of...
I just want to say, the bosses, the enemies look really, really creative. Like, whoever made bosses in this game, just... like, you deserve a raise. Like, you know what? You deserve, like, everything. You deserve the world. Because this is peak, like, enemies. To me, okay, it looks scary, it looks weird, it looks freaky. This right here is nice.
Attacks with the square and triangle buttons, cancelling your enemy's attack with a well-timed beta skill only to finish them off with yet another combo can feel just as great as the parrying and dodging. Stellar Blade equally provides the player with both great defensive and offensive skills, which makes it feel balanced and deep. Being able to take different strategies depending on the enemy type is great in itself, but it feels like Stellar Blade has enough depth and variety for players to find their own unique style to tackle the challenging combat. At a certain point in the game, Eve will become able to use a long-range gun-type weapon as well. While melee combat remains the main focus, some instances require the use of your gun in order to advance, and apparently some stages are designed for this weapon.
That means that's going to be swapping up. That means you're not just going slash against the fight 100 times. So that's good.
I did get to use the gun in a fight against Stalker, one of Stellar Blade's creepy bosses. By successfully countering a specific attack with repulse, a weak spot is unveiled next to Stalker's head. Heavy damage can be dealt if you are quick enough to fire at this weak spot.
Yeah.
I also found myself relying on the gun whenever I was out of potions, as attacking from a distance wasn't nearly as risky as attacking with my blade.
Yep.
At the very least, the gun should function as yet another option in Stellar Blade's already robust combat. The bosses I got to fight all had a wide array of attack patterns that fundamentally changed once they headed into a different phase.
Okay.
While overwhelming at first, after a few tries I realized how the attacks were designed for me to utilize the parrying, dodging, and other skills that Stellar Blade had taught me at that point. Stellar Blade has two difficulty settings, normal mode and story mode. While calling it a Souls-like would make it sound more difficult than it actually is, in normal mode, regular enemies can kill you if you let your guard down.
Okay.
On my first few attempts, bosses felt quite challenging as well. From a game design perspective, Stellar Blade does draw a lot of inspiration from the Soulsborne genre.
Okay. Okay.
Camps feel just like bonfires.
Okay, wait. Were you about to say something?
Checkpoints. You can unlock shortcuts that lead you back to those checkpoints, and be prepared for surprise attacks from enemies placed just around the corner.
That's like Nier moments. So like, okay, so to elaborate here, in Nier Automata or Nier Replicant, what you have is like little, you can kind of say like, what is it? The rest moments in Dark Souls. And these things pretty much gives you the chance to save, teleport, and go different places. Now, in Nier Automata and Nier Replicant, a lot of times when you find yourself like going through the game and you're getting to a certain area, you'll typically find like a pathway to go backwards. And it'll take you back to whatever you started at, depending on if you just know the routes. Some things may be hidden, some things you may have to figure out and do puzzles for, but overall, like that kind of helps you in a way. And while I'm saying that, I think now when I think back, that's kind of like what Dark Souls and Nier Automata does. So like, I shouldn't have said that, but just the first thing I thought about was like Nier, because I know like this little pathway right here, this is from Nier Automata when you go into the factory.
Prepared for surprise attacks from enemies placed just around the corner. When playing in story mode, the game feels a lot more forgiving, and you can turn on an accessibility option called Action Assist that tells you the right timing for parrying and dodging in QTE fashion.
I don't want that.
I like that camp.
So, aka, if any critics out there are saying like this game is too hard, well, you literally have like a baby proof. You're baby proof.
Just function.
There's no way. There's no way for you to cry. There's no way for you to whine. Like you literally got baby proof. What?
Restores your health and refills your potions, but provides some actual relaxation for Eve and the player. Watching Eve kick back on her chair while playing your choice of song on the record player is a good way to take a break. At these camps, Eve occasionally has conversations with her friends, and the game can reward you with flashbacks and other events. Some events only occur at specific camps, so finding all the camps functions as a nice extra for completionists or those who want to dig deeper into Stellar Blade's world and characters.
That's how I'm gonna be when all the haters come out about Stellar Blade. And I got a comment to say about that. I got some comments.
You can buy items and learn new skills at camps as well. Newly obtained skills can be tried out in the game's training room.
Okay.
But even if you don't, Stellar Blade will remind you of that skill during the next combat session in the main
Okay,
game.
cool.
Stellar Blade has many small details like this that make me feel like I was being taken great care of. For example, whenever the beta skill gauge is full, the game's UI will notify you of this. While it might sound like an afterthought, for someone who often gets caught up in the action and forgets to look at the gauge like me, it goes a long way.
I'm not gonna forget about that.
While Stellar Blade is combat focused, I experienced some simple puzzles and platforming as well.
That's good.
Entering a code in order to open a door was so straightforward that I didn't even feel bad to refer to the hint feature. While not particularly spectacular, platforming sessions like moving wooden boards on a water surface by swimming to then climb on them and jump to a nearby ladder were decent enough to provide some welcome variety. Speaking of swimming, Eve can swim underwater as well, which I found somewhat rare for a combat-focused action game like Stellar Blade. In typical video game fashion, swimming to the bottom of the water rewarded me with a treasure chest. What else would you expect?
I think if you
While mostly linear, the stage
and Nier and I think Dark Souls, I think all of them, if you try to swim in water, you immediately die. Especially in Nier, I know that for sure.
I got to play was wide enough for a few detours with other hidden treasure chests and optional enemies. I got the impression that Stellar Blade takes exploration seriously as well, at least for an action game. In the main game, players can explore a city called Zion, as well as some less linear areas. while the depth of its exploration remains to be seen.
Dude,
Stellar Blade's action
these
alone was more than enough
enemies.
for me to get excited for its April 26th release on PlayStation 5. For more upcoming games, stick with IGN.
Dude. Can't wait. Okay, so Yoko, it has to be said that you are also well known for your unique vision as a developer. This was already appointed in Drakengard, yes, because Drakengard is what this all off. If you played Drakengard, you would understand kind of what Nier Replicant and Nier Automata, Automata, like backstory in a way. But you didn't really need to play Drakengard to understand Nier Automata or Nier Replicant. That's the cool part about it. But if you played it, all of it makes sense in a way. So, where was I? Your first project as a director was a long road to become a director. Yoko. Actually, the person that was directing it at the time became busy with another project. So I was asked to take over, so reaching the position of director happened quite naturally at the time. Square Enix asked me to make a game like Dynasty Warriors, but set in a fantasy world. I thought that would be challenging to pull off, but since I was getting paid, I said, I'll do it. Why not? There weren't any instructions for the world setting scenarios, so I simply did what I wanted to do in these areas. I think this resulted in quite unique product. It was very dark scenario, and I remember being asked why that was necessary. It ended in a fight between Yoko and Square Enix. Speaking of which, Mr. Kim, I wanted to ask you if there were any fights with Sony Interaction Entertainment since they published Stellar Blade. Now, I'm kind of wanting to know about that because the problem with Sony is a lot of games like this, for instance, it's only going to be out on PlayStation, which sucks because I play more PC now. I would love to play this on PC instead of buying it on a console, and then I have to turn around, and then when they finally say, you know what, we're going to put it on PC, then I have to turn around and buy it because I'm going to do it. To me, it's a Yoko Taro game in a sense. Even though this is Kim's game, still I just love Yoko Taro, and this kind of puts me in that remnants of it. So, Mr. Yoko, you said that you think Stellar Blade is much better than Nier Automata. What makes you think so? Yoko, the graphics are complete next-gen quality. True. That is true. And the character design's direction is amazing. The cool male characters are cute. Female characters unique to Mr. Kim style are really appealing. Shops in RPGs often have closed-up shots of shopkeepers, which I don't like because I think it feels unnatural. Stellar Blade has shots like that too, but the shopkeeper was so cute that I didn't mind. Her cuteness felt more important than any design choice. Kim, this has been a problem for us. Many users say that the girls at the shop is cuter than the main character. I guess we need to make her the main character in our next game. Yoko, it's just a matter of taste. Stellar Blade Project Eve is really appealing too. Your art styles are really appealing to a Japanese audience. Stellar Blade's graphics, settings, and characters are really a style I think Japanese gamers love. If you were to show someone that has no prior knowledge of Nier Automata and Stellar Blade, I think almost all of them would pick Stellar Blade. A white-haired character like 2B is not controversial. Yes. Yes. To this day, and I will stand on this, to this day, people who play games, and story games mainly, they have never touched Nier Automata. That is so true. Where was I? I guess I would get in trouble if I agree with that statement. Seriously though, for me, Nier Automata is like a invulnerable holy grace. That is true. I agree. The visual of the stories are so special that it's simply not possible to imitate Stellar Blade in its shipped up's first console title. Please see us as a cute new kid on the block. Dude. And that's true. Like, as a person who sat down and played through all the endings of Nier Automata and got all the endings, the story is so heart touching. It is so hard to forget any of those portions of throughout the game. It was done so well and so heart-wrenching in some of the moments that, to me, growing up, even when I get to my 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, to me, Nier Automata will always be that game. To me, as a story-based game, Nier will always take it. There's just no game that, to me personally, that's gonna outdo it. Even outside of that, if we talk outside of that game, I'm talking about Drakengard 3, talking about Drakengard 2, I'm talking about Nier Replicant at this point. These are the games that, to me, a story-based game is what I dream of seeing, because that was a really done story game. I have never cried. So anyway, Mr. Kim, what do you think it is that makes 2B such a special character? Kim, for her white hair to her eye patch and her black clothes with the white stitches, and everything about her is appealing to me. At the time, her character design was quite different from what I was trending, but she still became beloved by many players. Now, both of her looks, personality, both her looks and personality have created a new stream, which has become a brand of her own, which is a real achievement. That is true. Almost everything that's Nier related in any other game, you're going to see 2B, A2, and 9S. And then also, that's what you know Nier as, that character. Mr. Yoko, how did you come up with such a unconventional character as 2B? Yoko, in a battle action game with sci-fi setting, a conventional character would be a male character that shoots a gun, wearing clothes, reminiscent of the United States Marine Corps. But there are already Halo and other games like that. It didn't make sense for me to make something like that. I wouldn't be able to do that better than Western developers anyway. Since we're farther away from that culturally, I wanted to make a different style of game that has less competition. That's why we went for the sci-fi battle action game with a female protagonist, clad in black, blindfolded. At the time, there wasn't anything like it, but now the Stellar Blade is about to enter the room, and I feel like we soon become crowded market. And which is a good thing, because at this point, we need games that have more of a like female protagonist. Okay, we already got like movies, we all got superheroes that's kind of already doing it, but a lot of them are kind of like hit and miss a lot of the time, because either people make a story where the woman never really goes through anything and she's just powerful, or there's only a couple that did it right. And so in this sense, when we're talking about gaming now, like Nier Automata did it, and it flourished. It did amazing. Like, hands down. The only reason why a lot of people don't like it is because you're either hating on it because, quote unquote, it sexualizes women too much. But like, barely. Like, there's literally other games that do this 10 times worse. 2B is barely sexualized. Like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Kim, your games are way too unique to be imitated. I wouldn't worry. I wanted to make a different style of game that has less competition. That's why we went for the sci-fi battle action game with female. Yep, so yeah. And then Yoko, people never praised me like that in Japan, South Korea, and such a nice country. Actually, I kind of knew that Stellar Blade was going to be compared with Nier Automata. I told Mr. Kim when we first met, if you actually play it, you'll instantly realize that it's a very different game. And I know it's a different game, 1000%. Even without playing it, I know for a fact it's going to be different. But the only reason why people are comparing it, like he just said, is because Nier Automata is the only female protagonist story-based game that is set up like this. You can't name me any other game. There's not a single other game that does it. So that's the only reason. There simply aren't many games with a female warrior fighting in. Yep, see, like, duh. Like, Nier Automata had very big influence on me, so I can understand that people get Nier Automata vibes, but actually I was inspired by many other things as well, mainly manga anime games from the 1980s and 90s. I think that people that enjoy culture from that era would feel nostalgic when playing Stellar Blade. I'm not that kind of developer who is skilled at imitating the newest trend, Stellar Blade is simply a how you say that word? How you say that word? That's actually like okay, combination of inspirations from my favorite cultures and interpretation that for modern times. Mr. Kim has mentioned Battle Angel Alta and Blade Runner as works he was inspired by. How about you, Yoko? The work I was most inspired by is Neon Genesis Evangelion. Oh my god. I thank you for praising Nier Automata Story, but actually it's pretty much just a retelling of Evangelion. So there's not much of originality to it. I don't really watch recent movies, so I'm mostly inspired by memories of work I saw in the past. I was inspired by Evangelion as well. It's not as easy to create something that surpasses your inspiration source. In that regard, Nier Automata has a unique taste that only you could make. I really envy that. I am visually and not a storyteller. I mean, a visualist and not a storyteller. I have always focused on how something looks, so I can't compare it to Mr. Yoko when it comes to the story department, but I believe that Stellar Blade's gameplay makes up for that shortcoming. Yes. Mr. Kim mentions, no, not Mr. Kim. Mr. Yoko mentions that he went for less controversial characters as a business decision, which I found interesting, as he is widely seen as a amateur. Is that how you say that? How you say that word? True. How about you, Mr. Kim? Can you be business minded when it's working on your games? Kim, I try to find the right balance between business development. For some games, I take business approaches. For others, I don't. Stellar Blade is one of the latter. So he didn't take a business approach with Stellar Blade. This time I made something I genuinely liked. I'm not particularly gifted as a businessman, so rather than analyzing the market and monitoring the numbers, I tend to just make what I like and what I believe gamers will enjoy. Yoko, so what makes games as an artist without thinking about business too much and still have your own company with 300 employees? While I think about business all the time, I don't even have my own companies yet. That's strange. I guess it's because I've been a slave to Square Enix for so many years, or I guess I should say I was enslaved by, how you say his name? Yasu Saito. Nier producer is all his fault. So, yeah, because that makes sense. Like, he never really made his own. Yeah, he always worked for Square Enix. Square Enix is known for like their storytelling. So it makes sense why. As well, the Final Fantasy 14 players come out the woodworks and say the story is good. Isn't that a little dangerous to say? Like, there are many people that help me out with business decisions. The team does all the hard work while I walk around greeting people and pretend to be a professional business side is in safe hands this way. Wow. Yoko, I don't have any friends that would do that for me. I guess my human qualities can't compare with yours either. Mr. Yoko, how do you find the right balance between business and creativity? Yoko, for me, it depends on the phase of development. I start with thinking about the business side, but by the end, not so much anymore. So at first, I listen to what the publishers want from me, but later I don't. Kim, that sounds like a great strategy. Let's switch topics again. Mr. Kim mentions that he believes Stellar Blade gameplay makes up for his shortcomings as a storyteller. Mr. Yoko, what do you think of Stellar Blade's actions? Yoko, it's a lot of fun. At first, I couldn't beat the first stage boss. The actions were very deep. Overcoming challenges by mastering the action felt great. In Nier Automata, the action is much simpler, but there's a reason for that. Since many of the Square Enix audience are RPG players, many of them aren't that familiar with action games, and they prefer to focus on the story. True. This is why we went from the simple gameplay that can easily make the player feel good. Stellar Blade is much more challenging game, which I thought was interesting. Kim, why do you have a story mode for players less used to action games? and there are quite a few support features to help such players. I don't think we made it too difficult. I'm not very good at action games either, so I don't want to make a game that I can't beat myself. Okay, so he thought about it. It sounds like to me, Mr. Kim is the type of person who plays a game, understands it, enjoys what makes it so great, and then he sits back and I'm like, okay, when I work on the game, how does it feel for me when I'm going through this? And that's generally how you should look at games. I get that at this point nowadays where there's no point of ever reinventing a new wheel. There's never a point. And I get that, yes, you're trying to make money at the end of the day, but you lose, like what Mr. Yoko was saying, you lose the fun out of it. You lose making a game that people would like to try and enjoy. And it's kind of suck when you look at Call of Duty, for instance, right? Like, look at how Call of Duty is. It's the same thing. Now you got nothing but microtransactions, and everyone keeps saying, oh, the old Call of Duties was so much better. Why? They stopped caring about their player base. They just, like, it's how it is. And time and time again, like, we're in the same predicament. Almost every game now has a battle pass. Almost every game has some type of microtransaction. Almost every game is trying to do battle royale, or if you see one game flourish or do amazing, then guess what? They want to flock on that train and then try to run that train down just to see if they can make that money. Almost every game that's a gacha now is trying to be a open world. Make it make sense. Like, it's just sad because you don't really get the game out of it. You get more like, can I just make some quick bucks? And it just sucks. It just kills it. That's why a lot of times, a lot of people feel as though like games are just not how they used to be at this point. I do it. Okay, yeah, I can't beat myself. I encourage players to not be intimidated and try to give it a try. During development, I complained about the difficulty if I couldn't advance the next segment, but one of the planners showed me how easy it was for them. They said, look, it's already this easy. Making it even easier wouldn't feel right, but I wanted to make sure that the game wasn't too difficult in my own eyes. I want every type of player to be able to enjoy the game and see through this to the end. Like, at this point, I need to feel as though I need to make my own game, because I be saying the same thing. I be saying the same thing from every single player base. If you're gonna make a video game, okay, whether that's story, whether that's gacha, whether that's RPG, whether that's battle royale, whether that's shooting, don't care. At the end of the day, every player should be cared for in a way. Your new players should be cared for, your intermediate players should be cared for, and your in-game players should be cared for. That's non-negotiable. If you only care about one player base, your other player base is gonna be hurt. That means at the end of the day, that you're not focused on trying to make it fun for everybody to enjoy. Like, that's just, like, that's so simple to follow. That's no brainer. If you take gacha games for an example, take any shooting games, any fighting game, etc., like all this applies. You should care about every single player base. If you leave one player base out, I swear to God, your game will not last. Don't care if you are making money, your game will not last to the future. It just won't. God dang. I be saying this to myself every single time when I sit down and play a video game. Like, just care for all your player base. It's not that hard. So I want every type of player to be able to enjoy the game and see it through to the end. Stellar Blade is a game that has a lot more to offer than just combat. So I hope RPG players will give it a try too. Yoko, I play Stellar Blade on the story mode and use all support features when it releases. So you both want to you both want players to be able to casually enjoy your game at the same time. Due to the rise of Soulsborne genres, we are living in a period in which it's okay for gamers to be it's okay for games to be difficult. With Final Fantasy, what is this, 14? What is this? Yeah, 14? No. Yeah, 16. Being developed as a pure action game, Square Enix games are learning more and more towards action genre, as well as how do you approach game designs and difficult balances such climates. Kim, when it comes to how difficult a game should be, I think there is no correct answer. It's true that there are more and more difficult games due to the popularities of Soulborne's games. I have been inspired by the genre myself. That being said, since games that are usually have no difficulty settings, it is extremely hard to get the perfect difficulty balance. For Stellar Blade, we wanted a game that can satisfy players who want a challenge as well as a player who wants to focus on the story, and we did our best to get the balance right for that. Yoko, when looking at Soulborne's games from a business perspective, you can see that From Software invented the idea of selling difficult as a product. Until then, it was trending to make things more casual and stress-free, but they made stress in itself a product. However, since this is I don't know how you say that name. Okay, I don't see any reason to try to copy that. I would rather invent something different instead. While Nier Automata may have been intentionally simple, it does not have the qualities of a smooth feeling control you would expect from a game co-developed by a Platinum Games. I would like to know what Mr. Kim thought about Nier Automata actions, which is true. Kim, I think that Nier Automata actions is simplified versions of Platinum Games combat logic. I see it as the ideal entry point for Platinum Games newcomers, so anyone can pick it up and play. I think that after playing Nier Automata, many games got hooked to their stylus action. Oh, sorry, I'm sounding like a wait, a what? What is this word? It sounds like a commercial for Platinum Games right now. Bayonetta 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, so I really want players to discover their games. Speaking of Bayonetta, while a bit different as a character, she is yet another female protagonist known as for her stylus actions. Was that part of the reason that Mr. Kim wanted to work together with Platinum Games for Nier Automata? Yoko? No, that wasn't a part of the reason. Even though Bayonetta is an action game that features a female protagonist, I think it's quite different. To me, the fact that she never takes off her glasses is what makes her unique as a character. Her style is quite different from TV, which is true. Mr. Kim. With Mr. Yoko's vision and Nier Automata has such a strong, unique flavor to it. The more we talk about it, I keep feeling the Stellar Blade cannot compete. Yoko, I wouldn't say that. Stellar Blade has actually makes me quite jealous. It's a game with great concept and amazing graphics. The product shows how you and your studio staff were working on it very hard together. As someone who works together with development and studios as an outsider, it's not possible to share my vision and ideas for detail at the same level as you can. I really envy that. It's the respect. One person's not talking like, yo, I made this best game. Nier Automata is my best game. Like, you got all the ideas for me. Like, praise me. Like, no, instead, like, I respect you, I respect you. Like, they both vibe with how the game works. They see things that you like from Stellar Blade and Nier Automata, and then they also able to give praise and show how different their games are and talk about it in a respectful way. Like, it's so good. I think it's very important to be in the same room when developing games. I believe that you work on Nier Automata as a Platinum Games office to directly collaborate with their team sitting next to each other. Discussing things, sharing opinions, solving problems together is critical if you want actually finishing games for players. It may look like a lot of consumer games are released every year, but even more games end up stranded no matter how hard you work on it. Being able to finish making a game, it all feels like a miracle, which is true. Yoko, it definitely is true. The releasing a game is a lot more difficult than most consumers think. Being able to make it to the store shelves alone is something I have respect for. By the way, I just remember another element of Stellar Blade that impressed me. There's a strange old man who appears at some point. His character model is extremely well done. It's the same with the illustration, but while 3D models very attractive young characters is something any game has, doing the same for older characters demands a lot more skill. A game that can depict a convincing old man just has to be good. Kim, game developers in Asia often use cel-shaded graphics and other forms of stylish art rather than focus on realism. The same can be said for Stellar Blade, but at the same time, we did put an emphasis on getting the most out of the next-gen engine to aim for the high-quality visuals. We developed the game while improving our technology. I think it is fair to say that we can confidently release Stellar Blade standing side by side with one other high-profile games. However, developments of technology and using more realistic assets is very expensive. You have to use a tremendous amount of money if you want graphics to look just a little above a certain level. This is difficult issues our industry is facing right now. Although the end was already in sight when both of you directed your first games in early 2000s, Japan was still seen as a big leader of video game industries now 20 years later. While Japanese games have seen a big revival, there are still some elements where Japan's falling behind, especially when it comes to graphics. Very few Japanese studios deliver games that looks as polished as Stellar Blade. How do you see the power balance between Japanese games and South Korea games today? Yoko, Japanese found success with not just games, but also anime, manga early on. After being exported to the West and other Asian content games, mangas and anime has evolved in their own way in each region respectfully. As for games, it has been proven difficulty for Japanese companions to improve, how you say that word? Implement Western systems. Japanese has a long history with companies developing their own engines. It's hard to move away from that. When we were very late with incorporating rendering tools and middleware for the West. Even in this day, many schools don't teach this teach this to new developers. I think Japanese people are not good at adapting technology from overseas. Chinese and South Korea games were much faster to use engines like Unreal for games with Japanese aesthetics. Kim, what you say may be true, but it has to be said that Japanese game has a huge presence in 2024. It is no understatement to say that Japanese content is completely back on top. Being big what? Yeah, that will be released later in the year. I think things will look very positive. China has great momentum as well. They have a lot of hits, especially when it comes into mobile games. I think their momentum is so great that they might have more hits on their hands than anywhere else right now for mobile games. South Korea developers have a tendency to follow trends. If there's some new popular thing, everyone trends to go in that direction. True. Which is whether it's Western, whether it's Japanese, Korean, we all do it. I have the inspiration that most developers have tended to lean on mobile MMO games even more recently. But I think it's more important to release games for other platforms too. We have been making mobile games here at Shift Up too, but I'm happy that we can release Stellar Blade as a PS5 exclusive, and I hope trigger more South Korea studios to develop for other platforms. Okay. Until about 10 years ago, console games were mostly either from the Western or from Japan. Today, other Asian countries such as China, South Korea, and Taiwan has become strong competitors. What kind of difference do you think can be seen in aesthetics, fashion, and so on between the games from different Asian countries? Kim, I don't think I can completely grasp the difference per country, but I think today's Japanese games actually understands best what otaku games want. There are Chinese games that seems to be incorporate these elements even better than Japanese games, which I have found fascinating. I myself am not talented enough to follow the same directions, so I hope that will be added my own this track taste. How you say that word? Yes, distinct taste. Our games can be enjoyed by a wide audience. Yoko, I didn't try to make Nier Automata as a game for a otaku audience either. The project started with decision of moving away from Western micro games. This resulted in a game about attractive female character wielding a sword, which might look like something like look like something from Otaku, but I think Nier Automata world building isn't leaning in that direction. You might remember that there was an abandoned futuristic building in the game. We gave them a futuristic look rather than something contemporary. How you say the word? How you say the word? Contemporary. Yeah, because it's easier to fake it that way. People know that contemporary architecture looks like. It is easy to notice if something looks off. You don't have the same problem with futuristic I keep forgetting the word. How you say that word? Yeah, architecture. I think the two main reasons behind Nier Automata looking like something with otaku appeal came from the limited budget and the fact that we wanted to move away from the Western convenience. Yeah, conventions. Are there any parts of Stellar Blade that you think Japanese developers wouldn't be able to come up with? Where we at? Okay, we pretty much right here. Yeah. Both of you are developers with fans throughout the world. I would like to end this interview by going back to the roots. What originally inspired you to make games? Yoko, the first time I knew I wanted to make games was when I played how you say that word? Gradius. The game I played until then all just had one background screen. When you beat a single stage in the game, Space Invaders. How you say that? Oh, that game. And Dig Dug. Wait, is it what I'm thinking about when I hear Dig Dug? Yep, Dig Dug, yep. Okay. So like old games, you just got a new challenge on the same screen. But in Gradius, the scenery changed as I progressed through different stages, and it even had an ending. It made me realize that the game could tell stories. I knew that computers were going to become more powerful over the years, which led me to thinking that movies, television were eventually going to become completely replaced by interactive media. I thought that video games were the future and that movies and television were going to die out. Later, the latter didn't happen. My prediction was wrong, but it did function as the first reason for me to want to make games. That's why whenever I make games, I hope to be able to do something new that people haven't seen before. Just like how Gradius did the same for me. Kim, many of you have probably never heard, but Psychic World? What is this? Nope, never heard of it. Nope. And Avelius, the Patriot Soldier? What is this one? Dang, the game's so old, it doesn't even have a picture. Are some of the first games that inspired me. Both games were created in the MSX era and feature female protagonists. It was a new discovery for me that you could fight as an attractive it was a new discovery for me that you could fight as an attractive woman in games, and I wanted to make something similar to myself. Nier Automata was important inspiration for Stellar Blade, but a game by Capcom called IPIN03 played a big role as well. Female protagonists in the game inspired Eve action style. Having been inspired by so many different works of art, I hope that Stellar Blade can inspire some one day as well. I'm gonna cut out so much. So much of this is gonna be cut out. I'm excited, guys. Like, I would say this game is probably gonna get a lot of flack for just the female characters alone. But overall, if you hate on this game just because it has an attractive woman on it, then you need to get life. Like, play the games. Don't look at it. Just play it. Pretty much simple. Like, it's not that hard. Just don't play the game if you truly feel some type of way. Number 3, like, it's not that deep. Stellar Blade's not for you. Okay, if you want your macho looking dude, it's not here. And whether you are a woman or not, like, it's not gonna represent women in a bad way. At the end of the day, we don't have female protagonist games. We just don't. Like, it's very rare. And even for the games for right now that we have, again, we have Nier Automata, Nier Replicant, and one more. Oh, and Bayonetta, because I forgot about that. But that's like Nintendo, and again, that's not like Western. So like, unless you play none of the Nintendo games, you probably know Bayonetta, but that's it. So like, we only got 3. And most people don't even prefer this to Bayonetta. But I know for a fact that people have gotten the same flack for playing Bayonetta. So like, it's not that deep, bro. Like, get a life. Like, touch some grass. It's not that deep. Second of all, your boy may be copying it. I think on the 25th, because I know I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna live stream it. I'm gonna put it on Twitch, because since it is PlayStation 5 exclusive, I cannot stream it on my PC, so I won't have like the best way. I will hate it though if it has like what's the word? Copyright music. I'm gonna cry. But if it does, then I'll figure it out. But I want to play it, and I want to put it on my channel because I know it's something that I care about. And from as a person who played Nier Automata and these types of games, I gotta play it. I gotta try it. It's something that's in my wheelhouse that I want to follow with. So that's all I really wanted to say too much. I think I had like another point to really say about like gaming in general. Like, at this point in time, it feels as though like games are just not it anymore. And I think the real reason why is because it feels as though like every new game that comes out that's not like it's a was it a triple E game or whatever, or triple A game, it's like they're just after money. And like the games who are not working under like a company that has to make them publish at this time, at this date, they just do it right. Like Stray, for instance, there was Lethal Company is another example, but they're just a party game, so it's kind of different. But still, like outside of that, like there's tons of other games I just don't have on top of my head. And so it just sucks, because I look at games like gacha games, for instance, and right now Genshin Impact is kind of going through this, and it kind of feels as though like a lot of people love to make an argument, well, they shouldn't have to care about their in-game players. So like, that doesn't make sense. If you make a game, whether it's gacha or not, in something like that, you should care about all your individual players, whether they're new, middle, or old. Like, it's not that hard. If you care about all your player base, everyone's happy, everyone enjoys your game, everyone would spend more. But like, we're so quick to want money so first, or money for anything, that we forget that the whole premise of a video game is to have fun and make it great. Like, it's just sad. It really is just sad. But other than that, I know I yapped for like a long time. What is it, like an hour? Yeah, about this. I'm gonna chop up a lot of this and everything, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy and look forward to me putting it out on my YouTube as well as streaming it. So yeah, catch you guys in the next one.